Today on Coalcracker, we're going to teach you how to use your bushcraft skills in order to stay alive in prison. What's up guys, Dan here, Coalcracker Bushcraft. So maybe we're not going to talk about prison specifically, but when we do this project at our courses, people always consider it a prison shank, and that is just a simple bushcraft awl. So that's why I say we'll be able to protect ourselves in prison moving forward. I mean, maybe you'll be able to, I don't know, but at least you'll have a bushcraft awl when it's all said and done. So having an awl is a very important thing in the bushcraft world. It gives us the ability to punch and make holes in items. Now, yes, you could take out your knife and drill through, but as you know, a knife point, it starts to widen out after you get past the tip, where an awl doesn't. So for sewing and repair items and punching stuff like little holes in the back of spatulas and things like that, this awl is going to work much better than your knife. So that's why we're going to make one, and it's a fun project, and it's going to carry on from the last video where we were just cutting up saplings. So what you're going to need for this project at your bushcraft camp is your pocket knife and your axe, bank line, and one of those nails we talked about. And then lastly, just a small piece of sapling wood, okay? So this right here is probably only about 3 inches. You can see it's a little bit smaller than my palm. You can make this as long, but I wouldn't say make it much shorter than 3 inches, because you want to be able to grab onto this and actually get some pressure to push through and punch holes with this. So I'm going to go with a little bit smaller one. It'll fit my kit a little bit better, and we will be good to go. So I already cut this with my axe, and then I took my pocket knife and I worked it down so it looked a little bit cleaner and wasn't as rough and rugged as those axe cuts. And now we can move on. But first I got to show you a knot. We have our rope, and then we have our fake stick, which is actually a pretty good sized tree. And we're imagining for this demo that this tree is split in half. We're going to create a loop in our line. All right. Now the thing with this loop is the loop needs to be longer than the lashing itself. Okay, so with that said, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my lashing to the area that I need it, and then I'm going to start to wrap the rest of my line around that loop. Now it's important when you do that, okay, that you leave enough of the cut end hanging out, because you have to be able to grab this cut end and pull it. So I always like, when I do this, to leave at least a foot extra hanging out. If it's less, sometimes it's really hard to finish off this knot, so I'm going to leave a lot of this extra left over. As you can see here, it's going to be in the way for a little bit. It's just part of lashing, so you just got to get used to it. You'll learn how to work with it the more you do this. So what I'm going to do now, all awkwardly because we're on this tree here, is I'm going to begin to wrap my lashing around the loop itself. So I'm sure you can see how this is coming along here. Okay, we're just going to keep wrapping that around, okay? Now as you go here, it's going to get tighter and tighter, and you should be, okay, giving this a good tug each wrap. So you can see how I'm wrapping this around. I have my cut end here, my loop here, and I'm going to just keep working this thing downward towards the end of my loop. So we do this, working it down towards the end of the loop. At this point now, is in this loop, as I come around, we're going to put this line that I've been wrapping around through my loop. And now it should look something like this. So I have this line that I pulled through my loop, my tag end. Now what we do is we grab this tag end, or our cut end, and we give it a tug. You can see that's making the loop go up inside here. So as I pull that, my loop is disappearing inside, okay, my lashing. That is giving this even more strength because it's adding more thickness to it. What we don't want to do though is pull this so hard that our loop pops out the top, because then we have to go back and re-pull. So we want to pull that our loop is about halfway through our lashing, and now we have a good solid straight lash on something. We go ahead and cut this and cut this. The knot's not going to fall apart. You can put a ton of pressure side to side on this piece of wood. Nothing's going to happen with it, and you're going to be golden. Next step, you're going to take this small piece of sapling that you cut and you're going to baton it down the middle, okay? So you can do this with your axe if you have your axe only. If you have a knife, you can also do it with a knife. Now, if it is a really big piece, let's just say for some reason you were going to make a really long awl awl like this, I would say probably not use a pocket knife. These things aren't the most conducive to batoning. You can actually damage them, but something small like this that I know is going to split out nice and easy, by all means, I can go ahead and baton this. So I'm just going to lay my pocket knife on here and be nice and light and gentle with it, and then you could see how easily that split that thing in half. So that is now split down the middle, and that is going to be the beginning of our awl. Okay, so the next step in this process is we're going to insert our nail in between the two pieces. Now what will happen here is if I just lay the nail here like this, try to do this on camera here, and just put these two pieces together, what you're going to notice is that they don't close correctly. Okay, so they're a hot mess because the nail has some thickness, and then of course there is the head of the nail, which is a little bit bigger. So how we combat that is very simple. What we do is we lay our nail where we want it, give it a little press. Now it's going to be hard to see on camera here, and I'm going to have to press with two hands here in a second to do this, but it's going to give you a little indent. You're then going to take your knife and you're going to carve a little indent here, right where the head would go in, and then a little what I call like a trough or like a little V-notch up here to accept part of this nail so it actually sits down into the wood. Ideally, we want this thing to be totally closed and look just like this, but with the nail sticking out the tip. So I'm going to go ahead and carve that, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so check this out. What I did was I carved that my nail fits down inside my piece of wood. So as you see, as I can turn, we have a little bit of the head sticking out yet, a little bit of the body sticking out, and then what I'm going to do then is take the next side, okay, press these two together, get my markings on this one, and then carve this the same way, okay? That way it will fit, and we'll have a nice closed awl with that nail sticking out. Okay, so here you can see I cut out the other side of my awl. Now it's time to place this together. Now we have to put a straight lash here. So there's a couple different things you can do here. Well, there's two different things you can do here. You can either put a lash up top and a separate one down on the bottom, or you can put just one big lash the whole way. That is totally up to you, whatever you think would look nicer or you would like to do more. What I like to do though, before I do that lash though, is I always like to start at the top of the awl and work down towards the back end of it. And the reason for that, I want this nail portion to be in nice and tight. So if you are off what you're carving a little bit, okay, which you could probably see here as mine is still off a little bit, if I make it tight here as I go down, my lashing is going to squeeze all that together and I'm going to have a good seat the whole way. If I do it the opposite and I just can't pull this any much tighter, what's going to happen then is I'm going to have a gap here, and there's a probability that this is going to be loose and it's just not going to work as efficiently. So start at this side with your lash and then work down to that side. And just like that, that Bushcraft awl is totally complete. You can see it looks nice and locked together, solid. The tip of this thing is not moving, so it works really, really well. So this now can get added to your kit. You can always go ahead with your file or your sharpening stone and make this thing much sharper than it is. I personally, I like the nail that is in there because it's four-sided, so it's going to give us a good little drill bit. Although it's not perfect, it gives us a nice drilling area there to work with. So this is going to be great for leather and everything else that we need to punch holes with. So put this in your kit. We're going to be using this probably in the next video or two when we make a sheath for this bad boy, so we can be a little bit more safe while we're out here. And then also hit like and subscribe down below. You can check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com for all our classes, our gear, and our blog. And until the next video, make your awl and stay in the woods.